I am happier than I've ever been and always eager for more. I've been...
You mean steadier, happier? In other words, when someone says, I'm happier than I've ever been, well, maybe this is the happiest moment in your life right now, and maybe not. But what you usually mean is, I'm consistently in a happier place. Yes. That's a good thing.
And I've been good at being with myself to bring me back without it being because I'm fighting my way out, but rather just choose my focus. I'm interested in the distinction between momentum and force, which I'm experiencing myself sometimes the momentum and then I push in relation to the momentum. And
Well, the receptive mode will call you. There's momentum toward who you really are, and there's momentum toward a thought that you might be thinking that is not who you really are. So momentum can be toward wanted or unwanted, because whatever you think about, you're gathering momentum about. When you're feeling momentum, when your inner being is calling you toward all that you want, and your inner being is always calling you, but when you are in the vibrational frequency of that, so you're in the receptive mode of that, that calling feels like inspiration. When you are in the momentum or the receptive mode of what you don't want, that is calling you too. But because this is your strongest vibration, we've not said this to you before in this way, because your inner being really has you outnumbered, because that is the vibration that really is who you are. Then when you are pulling against your inner being, that's what that pushing feels like. So what to do when it feels like pushing or when it feels like motivation rather than inspiration? When you find yourself in that uncomfortable place, just do your best to relax. Just do your best to just let it go. As our friend said earlier, just do your best to not think so much about that. That's a good time for a change of subject, or a change of whoever you're talking to, or a change of what you're doing. It's a good time for a nap. It's a really good time for meditation. It's a good time to take a swim. It's a good time to do anything and everything that can change the subject that's going on within you. Mm-hmm. Inspiration, when it's coming, you want it to keep flowing. You would like that to last forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It won't, but you'd like it to.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's becoming more comfortable to be in it, so it's becoming easier to get there.
It's what's most natural to you.
It has become.
Yeah.
It used to not. It used to be more familiar.
It really is what's most natural to you, but it may not be what feels most familiar. But once that starts tipping on one subject, then it can tip on all the subjects.
Can you help me read? How do you redirect? Well, I'm assuming when people talk to you, they do that naturally, probably. But when I'm in conversations with people and I find them not in a pleasant direction, the options I've had is I need to move on. How do you bring the conversation? Do you have advice on how to do that in a way that doesn't necessarily make...
Well, the most important thing is your acknowledgement about what's going on. A good question to ask yourself before you get into a conversation like that, when there is a rendezvous about to occur or you see it coming, ask yourself, what am I bringing to the table? Because however you feel is what's likely to be activated between you, because it's never just a one-way conversation. But if someone's got a lot of negative momentum going, and for whatever reason you're involved with them, maybe it feels like by assignment or something. Maybe you feel like you don't have choice, but you have a choice about what you bring to the table. So if what's active in you is really in harmony with your inner being, rather than in harmony with this person, then it's less likely that they will engage you. You will feel not inviting to them. You won't feel like a good listening ear. But if you've got some of that going on too, then it's logical that you will feel resonating with that. Here's a new way of looking at this. This is new to the conversation. This will be fun, new thought on this subject. So in every moment, you're offering some sort of vibration. And let's make the most important word in this conversation be the word resonating. When you were non-physically focused only, you had pure resonance with Source. But when you were born into this body, Now you have the option of having resonance with source or resonance with something other than source. And as you're running around with other people and using your physical senses to observe, it's quite easy to focus on what you see and to find resonance with a problem rather than with the solution that's forming. But there's a factor that humans have that they don't even realize often that they have, that encourages something that isn't good for you. And it's wanting to be understood. Here, we haven't said this before. This is what it is. Feel the fullness of this as it unfolds here. You were source energy. Oof. Oh, you were source energy. You were source energy. You were source energy. And the larger part of you still is source energy, but you were source energy, only source energy. And you had this magnificent resonance with only source energy because there was no resistance in your vibration. And then you were born into this body. And now this resonance is still dominant, but now there are other factors that you could be giving your attention to. So now you don't feel the full resonance with your inner being if you're focused otherwise. You follow that? But now think about this. You used the words, I'm naturally that. You were accustomed to this resonance with source energy because that's all that you were. And now you're in a body and there are other people around who've forgotten that resonance and they're banging around in all kinds of different ways and you're observing them. But think about what your proclivity is. This is big, friends. Stay with us. Think about what your proclivity is because you are accustomed to resonance. You're accustomed to the resonance of knowing that you're loved and knowing that you're understood and knowing that you are cared for and knowing that there is well-being. That's the resonance that you are accustomed to. But now you're in a physical body. And as someone said, and it's true, this non-physical stuff is sort of subtle. It's subtle in comparison with what you can see with your eyes and hear with your ears and smell with your nose and so forth. And so as humans, we're in the process here of letting you off the hook, helping you to let yourself off the hook about something that you've been doing for a long time, most of your life, that isn't serving you. You've been looking for resonance in all the wrong places. You're looking for resonance with other people around you, which means you want to be understood. Well, you are by source, not usually by people. You want resonance with them. You want to be understood. You want to be heard. You want to be known. You want to be understood. And so that's why you're so willing to go into conversations to try to get this physical human person to understand where you're at. You talk on endlessly about how you got here, what you think, why you feel that way. Well, what you're really looking for is the resonance that Source always has for you. But as you're looking for resonance within others, so now let's come back to the scenario that you've presented here. So you're in a situation where someone's seeking resonance with you, and you are, let's be accurate, you're seeking some resonance with them too. And often that resonance that you find with each other is of a complaining nature, of a things aren't going that well for me either nature. In other words, it's pretty easy to find resonance with humans when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on with your inner being, and you're frisky and flying high. Only those who are feeling that way will you find resonance with. And when somebody doesn't feel that way and you do, and they're looking to you for a minute to bring them up, it almost never happens because your attention to where they are usually causes you to join them in their resonance. And now neither one of you have access to your source energy. And you both sort of resent each other just a little bit for not being there for each other in the way you remember from way back when you were source energy only. Did you follow all of that? So what we're saying to you is, it's perfectly logical that you would be looking for resonance with others because resonance feels so good. If someone is tuned in, tapped in, turned on, they've meditated, they've been basking, they're in love with life, and they are holding you as their object of attention, of course that feels good to you. And you might even feel resonance with that, and that's one of the things that makes you look around to other people for that, even though most other people don't give much of that to you. Because most people have a lot more resonance with the problem still going on in their vibration than resonance with the solution. Does that explain a whole lot of things to you about a whole lot of relationships? And so, first thing is, when you find yourself finding resonance with someone, don't beat up on yourself for it being there, because it may very well be that together you're going to focus on a problem and create more solution. But at some stage in your life, you must want to come to the place where you say, I've really done enough of this, and I've really created wonderful things over here. It's time for me to cash in my vibrational chips. So the answer to your question is, make sure of what you're bringing to every table before you show up. Because if you don't pay attention before you get there, once you get there, you don't have a lot of choice. Really good, huh?
Really good. Thank you.
Yeah. Enough?
Thank you. Yeah.
Well,